Hello, everybody. It is Monday, the 10th of June. I want to talk about Christ consciousness and what is actually Christ consciousness. Now, many would say Christ consciousness is this becoming completely spaced out and having the knowledge of the all. There is the true Christ consciousness. And then they are referring to Jesus. And I tell you something, Jesus was not spaced out at all. He was extremely focused. Yeah? He was extremely focused on one point of one outcome, and he would become that which would serve that outcome. Yeah? He was not going into all. He was going into a very specific point. But then, you see, we're talking about Christ consciousness, and we're talking about Jesus Christ. What we should really talk about is Jesus's Christ. It was his Christ, the knowledge of himself, what I am and what I serve. The knowledge of I am, because that is the Christ. Yeah? And then if you say he was the only Christ, then we should all become like him. Well, if we do that, then there is only one Christ. But it was not that from the beginning. We are all an individual Christ. We need to find out who we are and what it is we serve, or what we want to serve. Actually, born out of a desire, maybe, a knowledge of self and a desire that grows out of that knowledge. That is the true Christ, the seed within you, that you then develop into a being. You become that being that is grown out of that seed. I would say it's the true Christ. So it's not the knowledge of all. It is the knowledge of self. And then we come to self-determination. Do we have the determination to develop our own Christ? And to become that, to be our truth. At least, I think the seed inside of us, there are lots of possibilities of what can be grown out of that. I want to show you this here. But it should, whatever you become, should kind of come out of your own truth. And again, the way of Jesus was, you do not self-determine what you are, but you're being made into something by a higher will. You become something that will serve a higher will. Now, right now, we are going around saying, what am I, or what are we as humanity? I think that's the wrong question to start with. We are very similar to one another, that's why we're one species, but we're still individual selves. We all, there are differences between us, But this question, what are we? And then we are going, what were we before? Everybody's at that at the moment. What was I before I came here? By that way determining what you are, by what came before. Well, maybe you enter into this world and you forget what you were for as a chance for a new start. Yeah? You forget who you were before so you can actually, start afresh. And then actually coming into this world, and would be then, in a way, not a linear experience, because it would not be dependent on what came before. So you kind of, in a way, you're making a quantum leap coming here by forgetting what was before. And now all possibilities are in front of you again. But Jesus clearly remembered where he came from. He clearly remembered that. Yeah? And he was given instructions from what came before. He was still really connected to his past, very much so. And what he came from was clearly a hive mind. Very much a hive mind. And the idea, the Christ within Jesus, was the desire to return to that hive mind, to make himself into something that would serve the hive mind. And obviously have no will of his own, because you can't have that in a hive mind. Yeah, not if you're on the lower levels of the hive mind, definitely. No will of your own. Yeah? And the way that was achieved was by him existing or getting information only on one energy. He actually became a one-dimensional being. Only compassion. Yeah, I've just heard John St. Julian again get out of the false good and bad operating system. Well, if you do that, if you're only on one energy, you're out of it. you can no longer determine. It's not that good and bad no longer exists, but you can no longer determine what it is. Once you become one-dimensional, you can, there are no other parts with which to reason. So that's it, you're out of it. You're out of good and bad. But then you need something else to determine what good and bad is. Yeah? And tell you what to do for good and for bad. Again, that is what Jesus was in. That's what he became. And then he was directed from a higher will by whatever that hive mind that he came from, telling him what to do. I do nothing unless I'm being told to do so. Now, the thing is, we've been shown this possibility of being on just one energy, on compassion, and then being directed from above. Yeah? And we can obviously be, it would appear we can become that. Yeah? We can be that. And apparently if we do it for long enough, it will become permanent. Yeah? Actually, we are then getting trapped on that one energy. We can't get out anymore. I've seen it happening mostly on the lower energies. Like if people are in depression, they are trapped in those lower energies and they can't get out. I've seen those that struggle against that want to get out, but I've already seen those that have become that. They are in that dark state, and then they are actually sucking in anything and everything that will maintain that dark state. They've kind of become addicted to that state. Yeah? Yeah, I've been in contact with somebody who's really in that dark state, and then they go onto the internet and, any death and mayhem they can find, they suck it in to maintain that state. So yeah, we are getting trapped in those states once we're in there for too long. And I would say Jesus did become trapped in that state. But, as I said, it served a higher purpose. So we have been shown this example of if you are like Jesus, yeah, you're all compassionate and how great and how wonderful and what a beautiful being. But if you look in this world where this is being worked, yeah, the hive mind is here and it's working its thing, and it's it's creating its drones. They don't just use compassion. Yeah, that is one example to say how great it is and how wonderful that kingdom is, but they do not just use compassion. Then consider a Jeffrey Epstein, was pure lust, trapped on lust, yeah, sexual desires. And again, we are actually diverse beings, and there's a saying, there's dogs fighting inside of you. They say do two, there's more than two. There's quite a few dogs fighting in your kingdom. Which one wins? The one that you feed. Again, Jeffrey Epstein said in the end, or said to have said, I now know what I am and I'm fine with that. That is because he is beyond the knowledge of good and bad. Yeah, again, he's just on that one thing and he's lost all knowledge of good and bad. So it's fine, it's great. And as I said, the dog's fighting inside of you. Which one wins? The one that you feed, and that dog was fed. Yeah, that dog was deliberately fed and not by Epstein himself. Somebody fed that dog. Gave it a place, gave it the means to be. Because, again, it served something else. He was in service of a higher intention that made him into, or gave him the possibility to make himself into just as one thing, because it served the higher will. And the higher will then declares it righteous, because it serves me. That is, again, look at the book, it says that. God, no matter how crimson red your sin is, God will dress it in white linen and declare it righteous if it serves him. There are others that serve the higher intention on greed, that have been driven purely into greed, tunnel vision on greed, vanity, quite a few on vanity. Yeah. And again, their dogs are being fed, those energies are being fed until people become that. Again, beyond the knowledge of good and bad, and serving that one will. That is the way of Jesus. Yeah, and it is not just compassion that will serve the kingdom. You will quite possibly be made into something which right now you would consider bad, but once you're that, you can no longer see it. And God above will tell you it's righteous because it serves me. And that is why the human knowledge of good and bad is so completely screwed at the moment. Because we are no longer multidimensional beings that can reason. A lot of us are no longer that. We've been driven into fear, we've been driven into lust, we've been driven into greed, we've been driven into compassion, as well. Because it serves. So that is the way of Jesus. Yeah? It is the Christ within me, the desire within me. What am I? And his idea was clearly, I am that will which will serve a higher will. That was his desire. That was his destiny. Again, he did not space out into all. He went to a very specific point. And that was his way. And now we're being told we should all become that. We should become the Christ of Jesus, the knowledge of I am that Jesus had. And then there is no self-determination. And yes, the thing about people talking about trauma, about the pain, about being traumatized by religion. That is because it is killing your Christ. Religion is killing your Christ in order to resurrect you into something that will serve them. So what you're actually fighting the entire time is, you're fighting for your life, you're fighting for your soul, you're fighting for I am. You are actually fighting against that the entire time. That is what is creating the trauma. So then, again, what are we? As I said before, if we come here and we forget who we are, we should view that as the chance for a new beginning. If our memories are wiped, then that gives us a chance for a new beginning. What is it we actually desire to be? Not being told what is good, what is bad, what you should be, but what do you desire to be? What is that inside of you that is saying, this is what I am, that is what I want to do, this is the experience I want to have? Quite possibly with the view of being in service to others, or that you have something that will connect you to others, absolutely. But from the point, this is what I am, and then I connect to that which I'm compatible with. Not I'm becoming compatible with, there is something that I should connect to, and then I must become compatible with that. But then there's a freedom of choice. You choose what you can connect, what you should connect to, where you would be best placed. From the point of, this is what I am, where am I best placed. Again, in religion you're being told you should go to heaven, and then you must become that which serves best there. And then you lose freedom of self-determination, you lose your Christ. Your Christ is that which dies. That is the trauma. To be replaced by something else. You're being programmed into what it is you are and what you should be. And the last thing is really, no, we should not just be on one energy. Absolutely not. Because there is where we go beyond good and bad, because we can no longer reason. Absolutely, you're getting out of the good and bad operating system. You're getting out of that. Not because it doesn't exist, but because you can no longer function in it. You've lost it. You've lost the knowledge. I mean, most esoteric teachings, those that have gone within, they were looking for the Christ within, and that is an individual thing. The knowledge of I am. And in a way, I mean, Jesus did that. He did go within and he found who he was, especially, I think, because he was connected to what he was before. So yes, that is who I am. That is quite possibly who he was. And he did not take the chance coming into this world to become something else, to have self-determination. He did not take that chance. He said, this is where I came from. I came from that kingdom. I shall return to where I come from, and I shall make disciples here that will follow me to go back to that place. So yes, within himself, that was probably his truth. But is that everybody's truth? Should we all become that truth? Shall we all become Jesus' Christ? Because that's the only true one. Or shall we have self-determination and find our own truth and be that? And then if we have any sense at all, we find a place where our truth can connect to others so we can become part of the web. Then really, should we remember what we were before? Is that where our focus should be? Or should our focus be on what are we in now? What is the desire inside of us? How can we function in what we are in? Without being modeled into something that, we are not. That is our pain. Our light is being extinguished. That is the pain, and that religion does that big style. That is a trauma. They're killing yourself. So should we become aware of what it is we are, be that, and then find the place where we can serve best, where we can actually function. Is that the way round? And is the fact that we are forgetting who we were before is giving us the chance to actually do that. Whatever we become now is no longer dependent on what we were before. Your sins are forgiven thee. What you were before is gone. Here's a new beginning. So no, do not talk about Jesus Christ. And really, to be using the word love and Jesus in the same sentence it drives me insane. You shouldn't. He did not love himself. He did not love this world. I'm not actually sure that he had any love. For what? For the one he served. Well, is that the love that you should be? You should be the love of Jesus. I don't think so. Anyway, here, I hope this made sense, and I talk to you again soon. Bye.